Y'all ready to blaze away or what?
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today's video is going to be pretty straightforward. I have a bunch of tweets from Harada all about the same topic. All is basically one long paragraph from Harada explaining some of the things that we think about and we want to know about in Tekken 8. This is why I say Harada is very different from other developers. Other developers would not take this much time explaining things and communicating with the community. I really commend Harada for what we're about to talk about today. But one thing that I want to talk about real briefly is a misconception I've seen thrown around the community. Harada and Michael Murray, when they were up on stage giving their speech, they very briefly said that Ikeda will be heading up development for Tekken 8. And a lot of people are taking this the wrong way. They're misinterpreting this. A post made to the Tekken subreddit kind of explains what I mean. It says, it's important to know that Ikeda will be leading development, not Harada this time. It's nice to see some fresh eyes up top. Can't wait to play the game. Now there's two reactions to this. There's one group of people who say, yes, I'm glad Harada's not in control. And then there's another group of people who says this is why Tekken 8 looks the way that it does, because Harada is not in control. But it's all wrong. Everything. This post is 100% wrong. It's ill-informed, because even though they did confirm that Ikeda is in control of Tekken 8, one thing that people are not really realizing is Ikeda is the same person who was in control of Tekken 7. I have another post from the Tekken 7 that shows Tekken 7 game director is Ikeda. You can see all the different titles that Ikeda has worked on. I just want to try and correct this because I don't want this to get too far out of hand and everyone thinks that Harada is like quitting or something, you know? Let's talk about the tweets for today. It all starts off with someone who asks Harada, Harada-san, you always told players to speak for themselves only. So here I am. Ultra flashy effects like 50 seconds into the trailer is a real pain on my eyes, to the point that I might not be able to play Tekken 8. Harada responds and says, yeah, I don't trust the comments of those who use we in guise of the majority. When talking about individual opinions and individuals' preferences, by the way, I've been testing accessibility and also considering visual effects options with Tekken 8 reference video. So two things at the start of this discussion. The first thing that I want to tackle is what Harada says about testing accessibility. This is something that we've seen back almost a year ago now, but Harada was working on accessibility features for Tekken 7. One button inputs, and no, it's not like one button electrics. It's for people with disabilities who maybe they have one hand or something like that. He's trying to make the game easier for disabilities. One button inputs, one controller inputs, different types of color effects for people who's colorblind, and all these things. We always wondered when this will be applied to Tekken 8, but now it seems like they're using maybe Tekken 7 as a crash course test dummy for Tekken 8. So we may not even see this applied to Tekken 7. It may be only for Tekken 8. So I did want to mention that. But the other thing that he's talking about, and this is what the videos kind of be focused on, is he says, do not use we. I see this often in the community where people are talking about what they want and don't want, and they will say, we want this, we want that, we don't want this, we don't want that. And Harada is basically saying, don't say we, say I. Speak for yourself. Tekken Gamer responds and says, by the way, I've been testing accessibility and also considering visual effects options with Tekken 8. So that's kind of quoting what Harada is saying. Tekken Gamer says, thank you for confirming this. Harada responds and says, don't get me wrong, I don't always confirm something in advance. Everything is considering until it's officially announced or released. So basically he's saying here, don't start making news articles or headlines. I'm not saying that this is 100% for Tekken 8. I'm saying this is something that we want to do. We are considering. That's something that Harada always has to do, is make sure that he doesn't get people too, because Harada, with one tweet, Harada can, you know, change our perception of the game. Headlines will be made with one tweet. In a separate tweet but focusing on the same topic, Harada says, I don't trust comments of those who use we in guise of the majority when talking about individual opinions or individual preferences. I said this earlier. Despite this, some people immediately respond using many of us or we. This is something that Harada did a while ago about Jun Kazama. He put out a tweet that everyone hated at the time. He said, "Don't say we want Jun Kazama, say you want Jun Kazama." And it was a very long tweet longer of Harada just, kind of going through the nitty gritties of why he should and should not. And at the time, we took it as him not putting Jun Kazama in the game, but you can see that even though he didn't like the way the community was asking these things and phrasing it, he still was listening to us. But all he's trying to change is way the people ask the question, which is kind of a big thing to do. Change the way someone asks a question. That's a very uphill battle. Harada responds to himself and says, "Players don't need to think or judge whether there are many or few requests or whether there are majority or minority. It's our job to identify and judge them. Only those who have statistical data collection methods and huge market data like me can make those judgments. You don't just tell us what you want. Don't try to tell us how many there are. Don't try to say, oh, there's 4,000 people who play Asuka, put her in Tekken 8. Just say, I love Asuka, put her in Tekken 8. That's kind of what he's saying. In response to himself again, he says, anyways, just say your own requests. There's no need to use we or many of us to pretend to be the majority, and you don't have to represent the will of the community of unknown size anywhere. I use SNN to hear your personal opinions. I do not intend to collect statistical data here." Harada responds to himself once again and says, "Okay, I'm talking with director Nakasu about implementing a feature that allows you to adjust the brightness from the options menu of those who find the effect too bright." So you can see he got one response from someone and he's already talking to the director about implementing it. This is what I mean when I say Harada really listens. The final tweet, in other words, it's an effect only. Brightness adjustment options. It should be quite effective with the adjustments of the entire screen option. Not only will they make Tekken 8 easier in terms of playing the game, like heat, more aggression, but they're also going to make it easier in terms of accessibility. I think Tekken 8 will be able to balance this and make the game fun for everyone without hurting the hardcore playstyle. Even though there's a lot of fear mongering about defense, I think Tekken 8 will feel how all Tekkens feel. The final thing that I want to mention, this is something that Michael Murray said, is that when you create a brand new game from scratch like they did with Tekken 8, it's very important to make sure it still feels like Tekken and not something totally different. So they are aware of what they're doing and also how it could be different, and they're trying to, that's also why they're doing an alpha, to make sure it still feels like Tekken, right? But that's it. That's everything that I want to talk about in this video. I have more videos coming soon, so hit that subscribe button. Also leave a like on this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.